Well, Ash, I didn't think things could get deader, but I think it's happening right now before our eyes because E3 felt pretty dead, and now news is coming out that, my God, this thing is just getting kicked while it's down. It's kind of sad because news just came out today, courtesy, I believe, of GameIndustry.biz, or at least of the ones who reported on it. We got here is that the organizer ReedPop will not be working on future E3 events, and due to that, the ESA has informed that the Los Angeles Convention Center, which has always been the home of E3, that it will not be putting on a show there in 2024. Now, that's not to say there won't be an E3 in 2024, but if it happens in any capacity, it will not be at the LA Convention Center, which is already kind of a big deal. That said, they're still trying to make this a thing and are working to have a complete reinvention of themselves by 2025.
Yeah, sure. That's nice for them to say that. I don't believe it. If you're not familiar with ReedPop, they're a massive convention organizer. They also do PAX. Just got back from PAX West earlier. So if ReedPop pulls out, I mean, they're kind of the big names in this business. If ReedPop pull out, it's not looking too good.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I just don't know that I believe the ESA is actually gonna come correct with E3. I mean, it's already weird to imagine E3 not taking place at the LA Convention Center, and there have been off years of E3 in the past which didn't, but they're typically considered E3's least popular years. So if it's not going to be the LACC, it's hard to imagine where it will be that it would garner quite as much attention as it usually does. But I also don't think there's going to be a 2024 event anyway. I don't think it matters. I think maybe they could do an online-only thing again, but that didn't work out well for them last time. So, I don't know.
Could you tell a difference? Like, I didn't even notice any kind of presence online for their online-only thing.
The online one was a joke, and apparently they lost a lot of money on it. I remember that came out probably a couple of years back.
Didn't they have an app that was
a lot of money?
It's just I swear, ever since the doxing incident that happened, I forget the year now at E3, it's just been failure after failure for the ESA. It's like the little leak that caused the dam to break, essentially.
Yeah, I think that was 2019. The last E3 there was, I think.
Might have been, and then we got
the
COVID.
doxing happened.
Yeah,
exactly. And I just looked it up to confirm. Yes, the ESA lost nearly $4 million on the all-digital E3 2021. I laugh. It's not funny. I shouldn't laugh at that, but I'm laughing.
It's sad because you just see attempt after attempt to try to make this work, and
yeah.
I assume ReedPop knows what they're doing because they've been doing this for how long, but it didn't come together last time, and this partnership only lasted 14 months. And from all accounts that I've seen, PAX West seemed to have been a pretty good show.
It was. So was PAX East this year, and so that's why it's hard for me. I mean, of course, every organization has their problems. I'm sure ReedPop are no different. But, I mean, if you look at ReedPop's their track record, all these PAXs, they've recovered from the pandemic. PAX West was as good this year as it's been any year. Same with PAX East. ESA are the ones that seem to be really dropping the ball over and over again, so I have a feeling it's probably more on the ESA end than the ReedPop end in this case, and apparently the ESA are working on a complete reinvention of E3 for 2025, but I don't see it happening.
They're complete, wasn't there? Well, I don't know if it was a complete reinvention, but that's the thing. They don't know what they want to be anymore, and
yeah,
their role in everything has definitely diminished because E3 was the event, the place to get all the new games and announcements and see what's coming up for the year and get the new consoles announced. And it seems like every piece of the industry is like, we don't need you anymore. We don't need to jump through your hoops or spend all this money in order to make it happen. We can just do it direct, have a better budget, and get it out there. We don't have to compete with everybody. And we've talked about this many times on GVG Cast and even back in TNT days when we did Today's News Tonight. It's just been an ongoing thing for the ESA, and I just don't see any way for them to recover. I don't see what kind of reinvention they could have happen that would work unless they just want to have a PAX-like event that's more for fans and less for industry.
But then again, PAX already exists. It's PAX. So I don't know that E3 could stand out in a meaningful way from PAX, other than maybe taking place in June instead of like September or March, April, as PAX East and West do. But then you've got Summer Game Fest, which has already, that takes place in June now as well. They already have June 2024 dates confirmed. Or not the dates, but the month confirmed. They're coming back to LA in June.
I mean, Jeff was right on that, like always. So.
Oh yeah, of course he was. I mean, so he's eaten so much of their lunch, and and there's the Game Awards in December. I don't know where E3 even really fits in anymore, and it's sad because I do miss it in its own way, and it is especially bad for indie devs and smaller devs who use E3 as kind of a hub to meet other devs, get their stuff out there, get their game in front of people. Like, it is a shame. It's a loss. And so, like, I was laughing earlier, but I don't think it's funny that E3 continues to just spiral. But at the same time, it's like, it's more of like a awkward laugh, like, oh, this is really bad.
It's a comedy of errors. It just feels like, because that, to be honest, that is the one that is the big loser here, is the indie devs trying to find that publisher, or trying to get that connection that all of a sudden, like, I have this idea, or we have this idea, and we just need the right publisher, and the publisher is like, you know what, we're going to make this work. We're going to go for this. And you can have an absolute success story, as we've seen multiple times with indies, but there's still ways to make it happen without E3. Obviously, it's been happening for the last how many years now, but it just feels like there's it's never good to have an opportunity lost, or potential opportunity lost, when it comes to that sort of thing. But I mean, I guess just for conversation's sake, what would convince you that E3 was back in whatever new form, this evolution, for you? Like, what stands out to you?
I think it would have to have at least a confirmed venue and dates, right? It would have to have a confirmed venue and confirmed
kind of necessary.
I mean, but I think that's my point, is that's so necessary. But I think anything short of that, it would be hard for me to believe, just because we've seen what they've tried to do in previous years, like with the all digital E3, and for a little bit there, we were like, oh, maybe they're going to survive the pandemic, and maybe they're going to be okay going online only for a couple of years. And then it was such a failure. It was such a big crash and burn, and they lost all that money on it. So an online only event wouldn't make me believe, and I don't know what else short of a maybe confirmed dates, maybe not a venue, but confirmed dates, just knowing that they've got something. I don't know, though. I think you kind of have to have both, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I'm going even more to the show itself. Let's say that they do have these dates and all that the show's actually happening.
Okay.
But what would the show look like? The thing is, we have PAX and all these others for community events. We have for regular people in the press. So I would think they almost need to go back to having a focus on press and having the games to show. But can they get the developers and the publishers to show up? They haven't been able to get Sony to show up for a long time. Xbox obviously dropped out last time until it just became a cavalcade of all dropping out. And so I don't know if that's feasible. So
yeah,
I almost wonder if they're able to do it. And I don't know if there's a viability to it, whether it's worth happening, but they'll definitely have to foot some of the bill, because it's not entirely possible financially for a lot of these people. But maybe an indie focused events, go to that core where people get to meet up and get a chance and show off all these indie games, show these up and comer things, these potential smaller games that get much more of a focus and have a bit more niche, but you don't have to go wild like it. You can afford maybe a smaller venue that you don't go to the LA Convention Center, and I think you kind of have to build it back up. You have to get that trust built back. Why not have help indies out? Sort of you scratch my back, I scratch your back sort of thing, where the indies are getting potentially a bit more eyes on it, but whether from the public or from media, and E3 can try to, and the ESA can try to get more of a, trust.
I would love to see that. I get the sense that the ESA think they're too big a deal for that, and I don't feel that way. I think indie games are awesome. I love indie games. They deserve all the exposure they can get. But I get the just the feeling that the ESA think they have to aim higher than that. That they're the big players. E3 has such a legacy, but I don't know how they do it.
All the money. They just lost all that money. I don't know how they do it that way. They can't go that way. It makes no sense.
totally agree with you. But what's also funny and a little sad about this is that PAX also kind of eats their lunch in the indie space, because it is traditionally an indie-focused event that has grown now to attract the bigger players. Like, for example, Nintendo had their Nintendo Live event there at PAX West this year, and that was run concurrently with PAX West, and Nintendo bought out, like, half of the Seattle Convention Center for Nintendo Live alone, and that they got people to play Super Mario Bros. Wonder there and get hands-on time, cool photo opportunities. So not only is PAX the indie event, they're also the bigger players event when they want to be there. And Nintendo were there in a huge way this year. And so they're kind of eating ESA's lunch on both fronts there. And I just, between PAX and SGF, I don't really know where E3 fits in anymore. To say nothing of Gamescom and TGS, obviously those aren't in the US, but I just don't know where E3 really fits in anymore, even though their presence is still, their lack of presence is still felt, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people remember the golden days, the golden age, all these big events. It was always the dream to go to E3. You see it in magazines back in the day, and then you had G4 showing live coverage and seeing the craziness of it. And it lives on in that nostalgia, but I don't know. I don't know how they come back from this. I honestly don't.
Well, and as we've been saying, with everything being more expensive than ever these days, it behooves a lot of these companies to just not spend that money when they can get their products in front of all the eyeballs they need with things like Nintendo Directs and States of Play and the Xbox Bethesda Game Showcase. Like, people have taken that route after Nintendo kind of blazed the path with Nintendo Directs. Everyone's kind of followed them in doing that same sort of thing because it's so much less costly, and it circumvents all the rest of the noise. It circumvents the rest of the media cycle, right?
You could just pop it out there as like, hey, just like more recently, we got a Rugrats game out of nowhere. Not part of any event or anything like that. Just, hey, we have a Rugrats game, and it caught attention because it went through the media channels. The video was shown, people got excited, and there you go. What do you need a convention for when you can just put out a trailer, show what you're capable of, and do that? Demos are fantastic, of course. It's a great way to try out the game and see how it's progressing, but demos are also expensive for the industry. It takes time away from the actual development to make a demo.
Yeah. I do agree with you. I think if E3 actually is going to continue in any meaningful way, it's going to have to be a very scaled down, perhaps very exclusive event that only is open to a certain swath of industry insiders, whether that's media or developers. I don't think it's going to be a public-focused event. I don't think it can be. So maybe it's just a very small, very intimate, very exclusive event that you can show off some really behind closed doors projects at. But again, you don't really need to do that either. I don't know that anyone's really looking for E3 to be that for them, because again, you could show off the Switch's successor at this really small, intimate, exclusive E3. Or you could also just announce it in a direct or show it off at any of the other bigger shows, So it's like, I just don't know where E3 fits. And then whatever E3 could have been, Jeff Keighley has completely eaten their lunch on that front.
He's worked hard to make that happen.
Yeah, and I'm on his Twitter right now, and I'm surprised he actually hasn't retweeted anything about this, because normally he's the first one on this saying, just kind of beating the dead horse, but he loves to just kick E3 while it's down, and even he hasn't said anything about this, so I'm a little surprised. But yeah, I just don't think if there was a place for E3, I think Summer Game Fest has already kind of filled it.
Maybe he's already in talks with ReedPop to try to get something a little bit more traditional for Summer Games Fest.
That would be really, I wouldn't surprise me, because he's always on top of these things. And I really would love to be would have loved to be a fly in the wall during all these meetings between ReedPop and the ESA, like, to know why the 2023 show fell apart, right?
Yeah.
And everything that led to this decision. They, of course, the PR facing stuff is all very, oh yeah, we really, valued our partnership.
It was a mutual decision. It was a mutual breakup.
I have a feeling that's not true. I don't know, but I just have this feeling that's not true.
One of the first things they say here from the CEO is, while the reach of E3 remains unmatched in our industry. It's like, okay then.
I saw that. While the remains unmatched in our industry, and they're talking about they're committed to our role as a convener for the industry, and it's like, I feel bad because E3 has such a legacy, and it sucks to be talking about this in such a blasé way, but at the same time, it's just I have a little bit less, I guess, a little less sympathy for them because of the whole doxing thing that affected all of us personally. That actually happened to us, and so I want E3 to be around, but at the same time, I think my favorite parts of E3 are my memories of it and what it used to be. And times are different now, and there are other things that have kind of stepped in to fill E3's shoes, and it just doesn't serve the same purpose it once did. And I just think it's great in my memories, and I'm gonna always miss what it was, but I don't think it can ever be that again. And if it can't, I don't know that it should continue to be, Because I think a lot of what I loved about it is the same stuff that a lot of people who went to E3 loved about it. I'm not saying it shouldn't exist if it doesn't, meet my standards. I'm just saying that I think a lot of what, like, you and I both loved about it, Derek, is the same thing that a lot of people loved about it years ago, and that it's just not going to be that anymore.
Nope, I just don't see that happening, but honestly, I don't really have much more to say about this. It's just the way it is. It's it's certainly something, to be sure. But
times are changing,
and they certainly are. And we'll follow up on this, see what comes of it. Of course, we'll have any further thoughts. Maybe they'll turn around, maybe not. But either way, we'll be here covering all of it, whether it's PAX, whether it's directs, state of plays, what have you. We'll be here, and of course,
exactly. And let's hope this ages badly, right?
Yeah.
Let's hope that we're in a year, we're looking back on this and we're like, wow, Derek, we were wrong, man. E3's actually back. Look how badly that aged. Mm-hmm. I just have a feeling that's not going to be the case, but we'll see.
I'm pretty confident in this one, but yeah, we'll see how it all turns out. Either way, thank you all for watching. Really do appreciate it. We of course have a Patreon over at patreon.com/gvgaming if you want to get videos, see certain videos early, take part in live audience for certain discussions, and just further goodies as all over there. But even just subscribing to the channel, ringing that bell. We have a ton of stuff coming, and plan to just keep our momentum going, because I feel pretty good about our outputs right now, and I just want to keep that going. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.